This is day 3 of the at-home band workout routine. Take you through the whole routine right now. We're going to begin with a warm-up circuit. You can go through this 2 rounds, but cycle through like a circuit. First, squats. We're going to do squats today for the strength part of the workout. So we're going to warm them up. And I can do it just with my body weight. Or if I have a broomstick, I can use a broomstick. I'll do that now. I think it's good if you do have something like this, practice with it, because then it'll help you get comfortable using barbells, and if you do have access to a gym, a weight room with a barbell, you can be confident with the positions. So set up. Talk more about squat technique in another video, but so for the warm-up, I'm going to go down, I'm going to hit the bottom position and hold it here. Great stretch, great thing to warm up with. You should do this. Sit in a squat every other day for a couple minutes. And really work on your posture. Think about your shoulder blades active, pulling them down, pushing your abs tight, hips back. Keep your whole foot on the ground, heels and toes. Look at my torso angle, it's forward. You don't have to stay. I just had a discussion in the gym with a guy the other day. He yelled at me. He's like, "Keep your back straight." And I couldn't help myself. I was like, "Oh, what?" And he's like, "You got to keep your back straight." And I was like, "Well, there's a difference between keeping your back straight and keeping having your torso angle forward." And that's an important distinction. So you can do a front squat. I'm doing a front squat and I'm loaded up here. Watch the difference in my torso angle. I'm much more upright here than I am here. And you can work both of those positions. You can interchange them, and both are good to work. But the basic idea is that your spine remains in a neutral position when you're doing your squat. And reinforce that every time. Never load yourself up more than you can do the prescribed repetitions while keeping neutral spinal alignment, keeping all those postural cues in line. Next in the warm-up, I'll do an overhead press, and since I have this bar here, I can practice with the bar. With bar presses, you have to have external rotation of your shoulders because you want the bar to rest on your shoulders. So practice that here. This is a lot of guys, especially, were tight, and this is a really hard position to get into. If you've done any repetitive motions with your arms over the years, you're going to have to work to get into this position. So it's a great stretch, great warm-up thing to do anyways. So now I'll do, just hold this position, use this as a 15-second stretch period, and then go overhead with it and stretch out here. So I want to keep my shoulders packed down. I'm extending locking my elbows out. Abs are tight, my hips are flexed so that I don't arch my back, and just hold that for about 15 seconds. Good mornings are next. I really like to do good mornings this way, and you can do squats this way too, but I'm going to have my head, shoulder blades, and tailbone in contact with the bar, and I need to keep those 3 contact points as I do a hip hinging motion. Feet down underneath your hips, and then I go into this motion, and this is even more than that back squat. My torso angle is really going to change and come forward, and my hips go back. And good mornings, you don't have to lock your knees straight out like that. And actually, even better if I initiate with the hip hinge, but then I go and see my knees are bending a little bit. And that's what you want. You just want to make sure you're not coming forward with your knees. Your knees are staying back. And I'm keeping those 3 contact points. So do 8 repetitions of that motion for the warm-up. And next we'll do some rotator cuff exercises. And you can do this with your band, but you would need a really light band in order to do rotator cuff exercises with them. This is too heavy for me. And if I have the closed loop ones, I could do these movements with one arm, but it's better to do 2 arms at the same time. So I'm not even going to bother with that, but just know that you could, especially if you have the open loop bands that with the handles on either end. If you have a really light one, you can do these motions with that. But I'm going to use, happen to have these horseshoes, but these weigh about probably 4 pounds. It's something that's like 2 to 4 pounds. Will work for this. Okay, so we got, I'll get my glove on. First, reverse flies. So all of these I'm gonna be in this hip hinged position, and I'm gonna hold this position. These are all gonna be 6 repetitions. Second one, I'm gonna do a row, and then from there I'm gonna keep my elbow fixed in space and then rotate about the shoulder to do an external rotation motion. Thirdly, I'm gonna do what I call a skier row, where I keep, I'm rotating about the shoulder, and it's really my lower lats that are working to lift me up there. And then the last one, I'm gonna do a Y pull, where I'm gonna now go overhead. We're simulating like an overhead. We're gonna get into this overhead position, but leaning forward from here, making the resistance come from a different angle is really good, to build the strength in your overhead position. And you just do 6 of each of those. Jump overs next. This is a tough warm-up. This is the hardest of the 3 days. The most work is going to be done in this day. So the jump overs, I'm going to choose to go over this mat that I have set up here. I have a little box. I can go over the box, and I don't even have to jump it. I can just step it if I want, or I can jump. Just try to be soft knees. I'm springing, extending, and my arms are moving in sync. And I'm just going to do 8 of those hop overs each side. And then last warm-up movement is a side plank. Extend your legs out, and then you're on your elbow. You can come to your palm too if you wanted, and just flex straight out. Abs are, hips are lifted, head's back. And you just do 20 seconds from there. Okay, we're going to break into the strength part of day 3 on the January, this is the at-home band program. So you can superset these exercises. There's going to be 4 exercises, and you can superset through them. Or maybe you'd want to do, instead of, that would be kind of a circuit if you went from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and then back to the top. You may also do the first 2 back to back, and then the second 2 back to back. It doesn't really matter, but I'm going to go over them one at a time. And for these ones, you want to take probably 1 warm-up set of 8 repetitions or 5 repetitions, and then you'll begin your working sets. And it's 3 working sets. Your first working set should be kind of the heaviest one, and then you can stay at that weight or decrease as the sets go on. So band squats. Band squats. There's a couple different ways to do it, but I think this is the best way. Step on it, loop it over your head. I'll turn sideways so you can see my angles here, and then you'll stand up with it, and now I can begin doing some band squats. So sit the hips back, arms can come out forward, get the full depth, and then stand up. You'll notice with the band that when you're at the very bottom, there's almost no more tension on the band, especially if you're going really low, and that's okay. And this is a little bit different way to do a squat. So you can do it that way. And there really, I can't imagine another practical way to do band squats. You can do them like if you're at the gym. You can put a band on this side of your bar and this side of your bar, hook it down below, and then do it. If you happen to have a really sturdy bar, 2 bands of the same height and attachments on either end, you could do it that way, but that would be a pretty complicated setup. So that's probably your best bet. You can also just keep working on your squatting technique with just the bar. That's fine too. Or hold a weight in front of you or some weights in front of you and do it that way too. Band overhead press. So same idea with the overhead press is the main. It's the movement pattern that we're after. So anything that's overhead pressing motion can be done in this period. I've got like this door right here. I don't quite have the clearance for it, but if you were outside and you had a door or any object you can safely press overhead or use for weight. I can do I could do a handstand push-up, which really, if you're pretty strong with this motion, I would recommend going for a handstand push-up. So I can come right in here, just make sure you got a good setup for it, and kick up there. I've actually never done it here. This wasn't very safe, but you can get yourself into the handstand push-up position and bang those out. Alternatively, and this is less resistance this way. I can do a band press. The only thing with this is it's really difficult to do a straight linear press up or down with the bands. But I can come pretty close and I can work it a little bit. So I'm going to get the band and I'm going to have it down. You'll have to have a very light band for this. Light band. And you could put it around your feet, but you might, it really stretches the band, especially if you're a taller person. So I think the best thing is to set it up about knee height or hip height. And then from there, I can go for my presses. And I'm going to kind of press out. So I can lean my torso forward a little bit, and I'll be able to get more of that straight overhead pressing motion. I can also kind of do it more in this upright position, and then pressing at more of an angle up and out. But in either case, if I'm pressing with my left arm, I'm going to have my other leg forward, my right leg forward, and my left leg is back and planted. This is a full body exercise because I got to keep my feet balanced here. And the split stance is going to be better than a even stance. And then pack your shoulders down, abs tight, and try to press through with a full shoulder range of motion. And you're just really extending your elbows while keeping everything else tight. The third one is a band pull apart. So I'm going to take one of my lighter bands. I did this on the warm-up already, and you're just going to get some more reps of your pull apart here. Pull it across your chest. You can kind of do it at different angles. You can do it from down here a bit. You can do it across. You can even do it a little bit higher. I think really below the chest, though, is the sweet spot. Get your reps in there. And then the fourth strength exercise is a tricep push down. So I got my band looped up top. I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades down together. Keep them retracted. Keep my elbows tucked. And then I'm just going to push the bands down like so. So you can do it that way, or you can do it this way. And this way is much more difficult. You'll have to use a lighter resistance for it. You're in a pretty similar to this position as you were for your band press. But now you're going to keep your elbows back, and then you just extend. You really got to keep your abs tight here. And notice it's not a pull down. It's just an extension of my elbows. So that's your strength part. Now we're going to break into some cardio. And there's some different moves in this one. You're going to put them together in a circuit. So you're going to do 30 seconds per movement. There's 6 movements. So I'll go over all these movements really quick here. The first one is going to be a high knee run. So you're going to just do high knees in place. Arms and legs are working in opposition. Bringing your knees up to your waist. 30 seconds of that. Then you go into mountain climbers. Mountain climber, palms down. One leg's back, the other leg's forward. And you're gonna do, so the basic version, you can do a step, or you can do a jump switch. Either way there, mountain climbers. Side shuffle is next. I just have this small space here, so I'll try to utilize it all. But the most important thing with this one, and it can be a walk, or it can be a shuffle. But in either case, I'm trying to keep my shoulders from rocking too much. I keep my hips back and the weight in the balls of my feet. It's low hips. Next, I'll do a band thruster. So for this one, I can do just a band, stepping on it, bring it up to my shoulder height, and then I'll do a squat with it, and then I'll press it overhead. Squat and press. Just if you're a tall, really tall person, I'm sorry to say, if you're over like 6'4", just be careful with the band, because you'll be putting a lot of stretch on it. You might have to just use some weights, anything you got to substitute. Next, you got jump overs. Coming back to these we did in the warm-up. Just gonna jump over some object, or I'm jumping over the mat like that. Use a good technique, land soft, absorb the landing into your hips and your knees. Your arms will go back, and then you extend through. And then the band pull-throughs, which I need to have a band tied down low. I'm going to kind of straddle it, and then this is a hip hinging motion. I'm going to drive my hips back and reach my arms back, and then pull the band through to the height of my hip. Careful, guys, on this one. Just ease your way into it. And it's a pull through. And then, so you hit everything once, 30 seconds, and then you rest 1 minute at the end and repeat probably 2 or 3 times. Okay, last thing, we got a cool down. So you're going to do about 10 repetitions or 10 seconds for each of these movements, and it's an active warm-up. Cool down. You're going to come back to your mountain climbers and just walk into it and really hold the stretch for a second here on this one. Underneath your hips on the front leg, hip flexor on the back leg. The second one is going to be a lying crossover. I don't quite have enough space to do this properly. Usually you would want to sweep your leg across the ground, but alternatively you can just lift your leg and touch from side to side. You let your hips rotate, but keep your shoulders pretty flat on the ground. 20-second back arch is next, or 10-second back arch. Bridge up and flex your butt and arch your back a little bit. If you can place your hands. You can do it on your neck, or you kind of lift your head up, or you can press your arms out. Which, man, that stretch feels amazing. Give it a try. Hold it. Leg swings forward. Do 10 of them. Hold on to something if you need to, but try to work your balance. More importantly, though, keep your spine straight. You're rotating just at the hip, not rocking your spine. Keep it neutral. After both legs, you then go across your body. Try to keep your balance. Arm swings next. Do 10 forward, 10 backward. Try to make it just a really fluid motion. And if you're hearing a lot of cracking in your shoulder, try to retract and loosen that baby up. Loosen it up. And then the last one is a calf and heel raise. So I'm going to raise up onto my toe, and then raise my heels, raise my toes. Raise my heels, raise my toes. You'll really flex the back of your leg, and then flex the lower part of the front of your leg. And just go through that one time, and that's it.